Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from the American Spectator dated October 18th. And it says, Grimm's Tales, Ryan Grimm's anti-Israel drop site. And Ryan Grimm is the guy you see in the picture right there. It says, Grimm's business is the perpetration of a one-sided understanding of Israel that could not be more tendentious if Hamas is producing it. Yeah, so this is one of these guys that I've seen his name pop up on X all the time. And he pretty much constantly gets things wrong about Israel. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if he's being paid by Hamas or Qatar, or he's just a plain old anti-Semite or something like that. But this dude is just bad when it comes to it. And I thought it'd be interesting to at least get the narrative out there that this dude is not to be trusted. So it says, when the Free Press broke the news in August that a dozen viral photographs, supposedly of starving Gazan children, in fact depicted children with unusual medical disorders, not everyone in the media reacted with chagrin. One journalist, Ryan Grimm, again, that's the dude from the picture, said that the name of the Free Press reporter Olivia Reingold will become notorious for a generation. The editors of the Free Press thought that was rich. They pointed out that neither Grimm nor several other writers who took time away from their independent journalism to excoriate Reingold disputed her reporting. Reingold's transgression, it seemed, was to notice that truth had poked holes in the narrative of the total culpability of Israel regarding the conflict in Gaza. Grimm's Substack blog, Dropsite, or he also is Dropsite News, has garnered nearly 400,000 subscribers peddling that narrative with widely varying degrees of journalistic probity. An astonishing number of its claims are sourced to itself or to nowhere. That should be the number one thing is you have the proper sources. So you can't just say, yeah, the sources are basically like, trust me, bro, and everyone's just kind of buying it. Some of its reporters have uncomfortably close connections with Hamas. The blog has also backed up its analysis with reporting by an anonymous X account given to spreading conspiracy theories. It is largely dedicated to portraying Israel's effort to defeat Hamas as evil when the campaigns are successful and futile when they're not. While Dropsite describes itself as nonpartisan and independent, it may as well be the Washington, D.C. News Bureau for Hamas. Grimm founded Dropsite with The Intercept co-founder Jeremy Scahill in 2024. That should also be like a red flag. It says Grimm is the author, most recently, of The Squad, AOC and the Hope of a Political Revolution, of which The Guardian said, the book seems to have been written at great speed without much time for editing. So, kind of like his reporting, I guess. And why is, I'm sorry, AOC is just overrated as all hell. Charismatic, yes. Smart, not even close. Says Dropsite carries on in that vein. Says on weekdays it issues Dropsite daily, bullet lists of paragraph-length news summaries in 5 sections. The top section is the genocide in Gaza. And remember, that's not an actual thing. It's a completely fake narrative. In one recent missive, readers learned at least 29 people have been killed by Israeli forces across Gaza since dawn, according to an unlinked report by Al Jazeera, which, again, that should be a hint that maybe it's not entirely true, that apparently did not distinguish whether the dead were civilians or combatants. Yeah, see, and they like to do that as well, is kind of conflate those two things. It says at 30 deaths per day currently, this is the first genocide in history in which the killings of the supposedly targeted population are fewer than its births. Right. And I've said before that how is it a genocide if the population of Gaza continues to increase and has done nothing but increase for 30 years? And in fact, since October 7th of 2023, when Gaza tried to commit an actual genocide, the Hamas folks, has the population of Gaza actually increased by 2.02%. So, yeah, explain how that's a genocide. And the thing is, you can't square that circle. Okay? So it's either not a genocide, because the data shows that it's not, or it's a fake narrative. You're stupid if you think it's a genocide. Dropsite also reported that the Gazan healthcare system continues to collapse, with 3 hospitals closing, according to, apparently, no one. So it's like, again, it's just the sources. Trust me, bro. An item reporting that explosive-laden robots are being detonated in the Gaza neighborhood of Tel Al-Hawa was linked to a post by the Dropsite X account featuring a 7-minute video submitted by Abdel Kader Saba. Saba was a freelance journalist for CNN and the Associated Press until the Jerusalem Post reported last year that he appeared in photographs with senior Hamas leaders online and actively praised terrorists, while also carrying out unnamed tasks for the terror organization. Yeah, so their sources, the actual group committing all the crimes, and they're like, yeah, they're telling me this is happening, so it must be. It's like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. And again, the fact that he worked for the Associated Press, which, remember, had an office in a building in Gaza, should be yet another red flag. The last item of that day's Genocide in Gaza section cited an ex-post from the Interior Ministry of Israel characterizing the latest iteration of the global Samud flotilla, the one from which Greta Thunberg was removed, as organized by Hamas and intended to serve Hamas. The ministry announced that it would not be allowed through Israel's naval blockade. Dropsite called that characterization false, without evidence, and says past flotillas have indeed been linked to Hamas. And I, as I've said before, they should have let those flotillas through. I understand they're not going to, and I have no realistic expectation that they would actually let them through. But they really, really should let them through, because it'd be like, well, you'll never see those people again. Says the long-form reporting is hardly better. Saba's byline appears over nearly 20 reports at Dropsite, including a September 15 story titled "Panic as Israel Warns High-Rises in Gaza City Will Be Struck with Minutes to Get Out." Saba's affiliation with Hamas was too much even for CNN, which that's saying a lot, but good on CNN for that. Says, but it evidently does not trouble Ryan Grimm, who appears to be repeating the terrorist organization's narrative of the conflict as uncritically as he cites the widely quoted death toll figures from the Gaza Ministry of Health, which you should know is run by Hamas. It says Dropsite has also extensively platformed Abu Bakr Abed, who brings with him a touching story of arrival in Ireland earlier this year as a malnourished 22-year-old refugee from Gaza. He told the Irish Independent that he was working as a sports journalist covering soccer, but became a reluctant war reporter for the conflict in Gaza. I'm going to go ahead and press X to doubt on this one. It says, prompted by Abed's 4 appearances as an interviewee on BBC programs, investigative journalist David Collier, who's an excellent follow on X, looked into his background. He found Abed's ex-post celebrating the January 27, 2023 shooting of 7 Jewish worshippers outside a synagogue in Jerusalem, and another post gleefully declaring Allahu Akbar regarding news of the October 7th attacks. In May 2023, Abed took to X to post a story about the release of Islamic Jihad terrorist Ammar Abed from prison. It was a short, happy, vertical video that neglected to note that the two are cousins. I was figuring since they shared a last name, there was probably some relation there, and there you go. So the younger Abed's reportage was clearly not confined to soccer before the Israeli reprisal, and one has reasons to doubt its objectivity. Nevertheless, Abed's byline appears alongside almost 20 Dropsite reports. One of them, from April, bears the harrowing title, "Under Relentless Israeli Bombing and Lacking Everything, a Gaza Hospital is Triaging Genocide." While the situation at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital sounded dire, Abed strangely neglected to remark that in the prior October, the IDF struck a Hamas command center operating there, which makes it a viable target, people, using ailing children as human shields, as Hamas does. So if that strike was unwarranted, wouldn't it bear mentioning? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. Lastly, there's the matter of Grimm's editorial judgment regarding his own work. His social media optimized news recap videos regularly feature Pallywood, stage scenes of Palestinian suffering that make American soap operas look high budget and well acted. This, like the strategically mischaracterized photojournalism discovered by the Free Press, is a curious phenomenon of a war with no shortage of real agony. Grimm's analysis is often declamatory. I've never seen that word before, but okay, I get what it means. It says, in July, the Dinah Project, an Israeli organization that advocates for justice for victims of sexual violence during the October 7th attacks, published a report titled A Quest for Justice, October 7th and Beyond. Grimm responded that the report repeated debunked claims of sexual violence, and by the way, no, they have not been debunked, like even a little. His citation for this link to an ex-post by Grimm, which said, "It does not matter what's true, only what the Western press wants to be true. So there's really no point in going into it further, but here are a lot of the receipts." So like the article already said here, that he just cites himself as the source. So again, it's trust me, bro. It says those receipts were in a reposted July 8 thread by an X account running under the name Zay Squirrel, who introduced them like so. Today, the Israeli death and grape cult that has actually been engaged in systematic pedophilic gang rape of Palestinian children, girls, boys, women, and men, which is absolutely not true by any stretch of the imagination, is going to desperately try to relaunch the genocidal atrocity propaganda rape hoax. Grimm's assessment of A Quest for Justice hinged on the testimony of a pseudonymous social media presence. Yeah, so again, trust me, bro. Not only is the account spreading denialism about Hamas's self-documented perpetration of sexual violence in the October 7th attacks, It insists that the real sexual offenders in this discussion are the Israelis. Yeah, it's called projection. It says it's no wonder that Grimm thought Olivia Reingold at the Free Press had earned a generation of notoriety. His business is in the perpetration of a one-sided understanding of Israel that could not be more tendentious if Hamas was producing it. Perhaps, at least in some ways, it is. So, again, just wanted to get this out there to show that if you're trying to believe this MFer right here about anything, like, his words should not be taken seriously at all and should be immediately discarded. He's obviously extremely biased against Israel and doesn't want to report the truth. So, good article. There you go. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.